Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and having a great start to your weekend. Got you a quick morning update on what's going on with the weather specifically for today, but I want to let you guys know right off the dot, this will not be a long video. There's not a lot going on. It's very quiet, probably our most quiet day here in a while. In fact, here in the Carolinas, beautiful, bright sunshine this morning. I've been out and about already this morning, and it's cold, but it's beautiful. It's great to see a sunny day. I don't know about you guys, but I can appreciate a good cloudy day. Something about it, I don't know why. It's always had really good vibes with me. I always love a good cloudy, sometimes rainy day, especially like in the fall. But when you have consecutive days of it, it certainly gets old and starts to affect your mood and things like that. But certainly great to see the Carolina sunshine, and hopefully sunshine in your state this morning. Is probably cold depending on where you are. But the good news is this really cold air, it's very fleeting. The air mass, nothing is, atmospheric wise, is really locking any of this cold air in. It's moving in and it's moving on out. In fact, the true core of the air mass, the core of the air mass is already kind of on the move on out, but it's still going to be very cold. It's already cold in the Northeast this morning. It's cold all the way down the spine of the eastern U.S. But the ridge is quickly approaching, so we're going to have some warmer than average temperatures. In some cases, you'll go from well below average temperatures to maybe just average to even slightly above average temperatures the very next day, which would be tomorrow. So it's pretty wild how fleeting this air mass is. But we're going to talk about this weather today and get you on with the rest of your Saturday and your weekend. I know I have a pretty busy day for me today. Have a birthday party, and then just a lot of things going on, a lot of exciting things with my oldest girl turning 8 years old tomorrow. So thank y'all for all the happy birthdays. That means the world. I appreciate the family-like atmosphere with this channel. I really do. So thank y'all for the support. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about, as always, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. So watches and warnings, guys, it's pretty quiet. You still got the wind chill warnings and advisories up there in the Northeast. Still got blizzard warnings up in northern Maine for really just a ground blizzard. But all these will probably expire here in the next several hours. Some fog ongoing in central areas of Texas. Lingering moisture probably isn't helping anything. But I'm sure you guys really started thawing out yesterday, and I would be willing to bet most of the ice is probably melted or will melt today. So hope you guys are faring well down there and the cleanup's going well. I know there was a lot of tree damage in a lot of portions of just the south central U.S. in general, but definitely hoping the best for you folks down there. But other than that, guys, it's a pretty quiet morning, relatively speaking. It really is. Not a whole lot going on at all. But we'll look at the Southeast, and I'll break it down region just like we always do. Not going to step away from that. But the only thing that we'll be dealing with is, I don't know what's going on in Miami right now. I don't have the radar pulled up, but maybe some storms might kind of drift into the city throughout the morning hours. Certainly looks stormy out there in the Bahamas. But other than that, high pressure dominates as it scoots on off into the Atlantic, but still nothing ongoing. Clouds will move into the Southeast a little bit later today, depending on where you are. And as a coastal low tries to pop off here, as we're waking up tomorrow morning, some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, especially in Florida, might begin to enter onshore. And in fact, it could be a pretty rainy start to your Sunday morning for areas of I always want to call Florida, Texas. When I know it's not, but for areas of Florida. We'll talk a little bit about that in this evening's video, which we will have. A coastal low is going to pop off very quickly. It'll be pretty strong, but it's not expecting to really affect the Southeast much, but maybe a little bit of showers and storm activity that'll try to scoot inland. This is the same system that was showing maybe the idea of some winter weather across areas of the Southeast several days ago, but since then nothing is locking in that high pressure, so there's really no cold air feed at all. So here we go. Northeast, quiet today weather-wise, but just bitterly cold. Bitterly cold, and you might have some snow shower activity might drift into northern sections of New York State or the interior Northeast. Arctic air typically tries to squeeze out as much moisture as possible, but regardless, pretty quiet day, blustery, cold. But I really think the real true core of the cold air mass really was yesterday evening into overnight, and I think it begins to leave as we get into today into the overnight hours. But we We could have some snow that drifts into the interior northeast and into Maine a little bit later, overnight tonight into tomorrow morning, but not a big deal at all. Just some snow showers and maybe some light and maybe at times moderate snow. South central U.S., quiet. I don't even know if there'll be a lick of moisture out there that falls from the sky. Just nothing going on. A quiet day. You might get some Gulf moisture that starts to move into areas of Gulfport, Mobile, as we're waking up Sunday morning, maybe around the New Orleans area. But other than that, quiet weather, quiet weather. The north central U.S., you were dealing with some snow a little bit earlier this morning, I believe. Another little clipper tries to quickly come down here, might deliver a little bit of snow shower activity for northern Minnesota overnight tonight. Other than that, maybe some snow shower activity flying around the UP of Michigan for tomorrow morning, but just not a whole lot going on. Pretty quiet stuff, guys. Temperatures today, bitterly cold for the Northeast, but this is the last really cold day, and I'm going to show you something interesting. I'm going to have to actually pull up the old HRR model because the newest long range is not done running. But look at Texas warming up. Amarillo, you're going to flirt with 70 degrees today. Same with certain sections of western Oklahoma. Very warm. The ridge is building, so you're thawing out. Any snow on the ground still left out here, it's going to melt. Beautiful day in Florida, just not as warm. Only in the 70s. More typical springish kind of weather, maybe late winter. Cold day in the Carolinas, in the Mid-South. Certain areas in North Carolina will probably struggle to get out the 30s today. Washington, D.C. will probably stay below freezing. And then from Washington, D.C., from Baltimore, Philadelphia, all the way to the whole entire I-95 corridor through the Northeast will be locked well below freezing today. As you're still got that high pressure is dominating the region, but like I said, the core of this air mass from this high pressure is scooted off into the North Atlantic at this point, but still getting a funnel of pretty cold air. So what's interesting is this is highs today, right? So we'll move it really, another cold night tonight, but not even remotely close to what it was this last night. But as we're getting into tomorrow, look how warm. I mean, this is just at 1 p.m. Okay, you're already into the 40s in Boston. You still got a couple more hours of warming. The only reason you're staying cool in the eastern Carolinas is because you got some moisture. With dry air, your wet bulb temperature is going to drop the temperature. But man, talk about a thaw out. I mean, areas that in the higher elevations of the Northeast go from, but well below zero to, you're above freezing. Like 24, 36 hours later. So it's pretty wild. And the reason this is happening is because this is literally the piece of the polar vortex that will drop down overnight. It's fleeting the area, and it's immediately replaced by a ridge that moves over this orange you see on your screen. That is ridge, that is higher heights, which basically means above average temperatures move through in general. So, and this dominates the pattern for the foreseeable future. We'll see what happens. But man, I tell you what, February is looking typical La Nina. But let's talk about what we're seeing out there. We'll take a look at the latest GFS, and I'll briefly mention any kind of storm signals out there. So we're getting into early next week. Here goes that low pressure popping off. This could have been something bigger for the Northeast, but who knows? Might do a last-second northwest trend, but I doubt it. Another piece of energy flies through the Great Lakes. You go from so cold it's ridiculous to too warm for even snow in portions of the Great Lakes. But about midweek, a storm system will pop off here. We'll watch for a little bit of severe weather across the south as some Gulf moisture returns. But here's that low pressure. Immediately forms, and because of this ridge, immediately cuts across the Mid-South and Ohio Valley. And, I mean, you're too warm all the way up into central Michigan, based off the latest GFS for snow. So this moves through. It's a weather maker, but, as far as winter weather, hard to tell what's going to happen with this one. But we watch this other system. This is like the kind of mid-month system we need to watch. And this one's been interesting. Trough digs across portions of the central and eastern U.S. Some backside cold air, and this system's been flirting with the idea for snow as far south as Alabama and Mississippi, all the way through Tennessee and Kentucky, and tries to turn into a big-time system for the Northeast. Okay, we got to watch that one. Okay, those two storms keep showing up. So we're starting to inch this one right here for next weekend into the medium range, where it's actually starting to look like something is going to be there. The Euro shows it too. It's a little bit of a different time frame. We'll keep this moving. We're getting into this coming Monday. Here comes that little Clipper system right here that rides through Northern Stream. And then here comes our first system for midweek this week. It's much different than the GFS. It has this low pressure tracking just right across the middle of the country, so it cuts even earlier. This can bring some snow for areas of the plains. We have to watch. There's no details right now. This tries to bring a bigger snow for areas of the Midwest, the northern Midwest, and then the Great Lakes region. We'll see what happens there. And then here comes the other system right here. It's bringing snow from Missouri as we're getting into Friday. And then it tries to, this low pressure almost goes, it almost does a transfer, right? It brings that low pressure and all of a sudden shoots it off the coastline of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And suddenly, you know, if you were to switch it and look a little bit closer to my folks in the eastern U.S., suddenly you have your first big I-95 snowstorm sometime next weekend. Okay, and this brings a punch of cold air. This would set up a pretty significant northwest flow event for you folks in the mountains of Tennessee and North Carolina and West Virginia, But if I stop it right here, this is about a week from today. You got a pretty significant winter storm for areas even as far south as Washington, D.C. I wouldn't call it significant for Washington, D.C., but you got snow. So the Euro's showing it. You guys certainly watch it, guys. And this looks like a doozy of a snowstorm for southern New England, but that's not a forecast. It's something we need to watch. I feel like this will probably be our next weather thing to talk about. There will be a system in the middle of the country midweek, but I don't know what that one's going to do. That one's kind of weird. We don't know what either one's going to do. But I think that as far as the next big system, got a feeling this will be the next big one, okay? But that's all I got. We'll see what the models do over throughout the day today. We'll give you an update on this and see what it's showing. But God bless all y'all. Have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all a little bit later this evening.